Alrighty, week 8. Take a deep breath. Week 9, that's it. So I just finished, as I usually do before this video, grading the items from week 7. And it may have been me, so let me know, but I remember specifically saying on looking at the code that you needed to provide a print screen of it in your browser. And it seems only a couple of you got that. So when that many students miss it, I always think, maybe it just wasn't clear. So you might reply to me here about that if you want to chat about it. And also, it's always good to ask. Never be afraid to ask me why I grade the way I do, because, maybe I do so much grading, honestly, that I try to be as fair as I can. But sometimes maybe I miss something. So I've had a couple students ask me, and I just want you to know I welcome that completely. Okay, so here is week 8. And we continue this template analysis, looking at it, and then I'll have you implement it into your site. And you'll see me do this, and Roxanne already tried it, so I appreciate students that always work ahead to give me that ability to talk about it, is that you don't often need all the files that are shown in the download that are downloaded from the zip in your actual site. Some of those are there for reference, and a perfect example of that would be some of the bootstrap files, is that you don't necessarily have to, if you want to use a CDN reference the ones locally, but you absolutely can. And in future classes, you'll be seeing how you can actually tell your site, for things that it doesn't need, to not include it. But for now, you're just getting into the whole GitHub thing. Speaking of GitHub, I know a couple of you ran into an issue when you were doing the push up to the GitHub site, especially on the branch. And that is something that I've noticed since recording those videos, is that when you push to a branch, you actually have to do another command, and it will GitHub's Git's really great. And again, the difference between Git being your local software that does version control, and GitHub meaning the place where we place that code. But Git locally is really great about giving you, hey, you need to do this, and it'll actually give you the command. And often, and in that case, you just have to copy and paste it into the command line so that it knows where to send that branch. So basically, it's creating that branch out on the remote site. So anyway, and then this week also, so that's just a couple of things that I saw this week. And then I for this week, we do talk about, the cloud services, because there's many cloud services that are out there to use for web-related technologies and implementations. And I've used mostly the Google one. I am going to do some projects soon where I'm working on the Amazon cloud. I haven't worked on the Microsoft cloud. But I think it's just good to understand where these three big players fall, what the pros and cons. And this is kind of a different thing because it's a conversation more than anything. And then this is a really fun thing where you create a favicon, build it into your projects. And this build system is we don't do it in this class, but it is way important. I ran into this recently, just as a little side note. I've been talking, I believe, about this idea of the International Women's Day. Well, I ended up using, and this is the website for it, so iwd.wtmfresno.com, and you can see the schedule. By the way, still love to see some of you there. You can buy the ticket here. I know you probably won't watch this until next week, but if you got it before tonight at midnight, you actually get an event shirt for free. But this, to come back to, this is actually something that someone else built and I had to install. So it was like a template, but it was much more involved as far as the build process went. And so I'm just going to pull over real quick, just because I think it's worth at least showing you. Now what I have, I should have already had that directory open. And actually, hold on, let me pause and bring that up. So this is the this is the website locally. And then look, if you, and a README file is really great because it tells you how to set up and deploy the system. So in this case, here's all this stuff I had to go through to set this website up. And so it's built on Angular. It uses Firebase for hosting. And it was a great experience of going through and setting it up. So this is an example of a pretty involved build system that takes your source and prepares it for the web. And in this case, there's a command that I get to use. I was just scrolling through here to find it, to actually not only do that step of preparing those files, but also deploying it for me. And so it's just, this is a pretty involved one. So you're not going to see this in this project, but I'm just giving you, by the way, when we're talking about build systems, this is one example. And there's several out there. Grunt, Webpack is another one. Gulp is the other one. There's a couple of them, but you can search and I give you links on those. So I just wanted to, and again, these are, right, so I should find that command just so you can see it. All right, here it is. So if I run this command, npm, okay, Node Package Manager, run, deploy, it's going to optimize the site, put it into a directory, and then push it up to the server. So that's a really nice way to do it. And these build systems really make our lives so much easier when we're building complex sites. So you don't, again, it's something we don't do yet, but as you continue taking web development classes, you will see some of that stuff. Okay, so last thing I will just talk about is just a heads up about the schedule, right? So our last week, which is week 9, right, we'll have a normal kind of due date on Monday, and then on Thursday will be our last due date of our last items, which is of course right here, the big project on the 8th of March. And then just looking at the calendar just to kind of see how that flows. The thing about that is if you can finish a little earlier, then and here's what I want you to know. Finishing earlier is beneficial because you can submit it, and if I find something you missed, you can resubmit it before the due date. But you can't do that after the due date because I'm letting this go until Thursday night. I post grades on Friday. So if you want my feedback, get that done like here if you can, but specifically also here. But if you're doing it on the 8th and you're asking me to grade it before it's due, probably too late. Okay, so make sure if you want my feedback in order for you to adjust anything you may have missed, submit it here, and do follow all the instructions that I lay out in that project. Okay, that's it for this week. The videos will give you more specific instruction, but I always like to give you an overview in here. Have a great week. See you later.